Past the hour 6, this is News Tonight here on GHOne TV. Me, Natalie, a look at our top stories. Coming up tonight, government assures commuters of the procurement and expansion of bus fleets to ease the current transport.
Whatever it was, we need to fix it and never return to that.
Also coming up, Inspector General of Police commends professionalism of police personnel, declaring that the era of coercion and bribery within the sector is over.
Today, I assure you, you cannot bribe the policeman anymore. If you attempt to bribe the policeman, he will disgrace you. He wants promotion.
Also tonight, a deep dive into the new United States immigrant visa ban affecting more than 70 countries, including Ghana, set to take effect from January 21, 2026. And in business this evening, the IMF recommends transfer of quasi-fiscal losses from Ghana's domestic gold purchase program to the national budget, warning that keeping the losses on the central bank's books could undermine its price stability and mandate as well as its independence. On the international front, at least 7 opposition supporters killed overnight in clashes between security and opposition groups in Uganda. We bring you the details of these stories and much more news here on News Tonight. Do stay with us. We get settled now for the details here on News Tonight. Our bulletin streams live for a global audience on Facebook and on X at GHOne TV. Vice President Professor Nana GHOne has assured public and private transport operators of government's commitments to addressing the ongoing transport challenges confronting commuters across the country. According to her, President Mahama has given his word on providing new high-occupancy buses for commercial purposes in the shortest possible time. The Vice President made the remarks during an engagement with transport operators at the Ministry of Transport, where she underscored the need for transparency, accountability and respect for passengers.
The capital city, Accra, and several other regional capitals have in recent weeks been grappling with acute transport challenges, leaving commuters stranded, particularly during peak hours in the early mornings and late evenings. Social and traditional media platforms have been flooded with complaints from frustrated passengers calling on government to intervene urgently. Engaging stakeholders in the transport sector, Vice President Professor Nana GHOne reiterated government's resolve to nip the problem in the bud.
His Excellency the President has asked me to assure all of you that he will give support to Metromas, Ayalolo, and the private sector high occupancy buses in order to augment the services in the medium term. We also have plans to ensure that those that need to be repaired, that the process will be expedited to ensure they can put more buses on the road as soon and as quickly as possible.
As part of the engagement, the Vice President toured the headquarters of Metro Mass Transit Limited and the Ayalolo bus services, urging management to adopt more strategic maintenance practices to optimize fleet usage and prevent avoidable damage to the fleet.
How did all the buses break down? How come we are working with about 60% of what we used to have? How come we used to have a 1,000 or so and we are happy with the 400? Something went wrong. Whatever it was, we need to fix it and never return to that situation again. Especially when we have a growing population. If at the time we had less people and 1,000 buses, and today we have more people and 400 buses, there's more we need to do. How do we do it? By linking our minds, by working even harder, by sharpening our focus.
Transport Minister Joseph Nikpe used the occasion to appeal to passengers to bear with the government as plans are far advanced to retool the transport sector.
If our economy will continue to grow, it means that we must have a functioning transport system, and government is committed to that. We also want to use this opportunity to appeal to our commuters that we are aware what they go through, and we ourselves go to those terminals and stations unannounced or uncovered just to see things for ourselves. It's a worrying situation to us, and I have the hope that we will solve this problem once and for all.
Meanwhile, at the Greater Accra Passenger Transport Executive, operators of the Ayalolo Bus Services, Managing Director Awudu Dauda disclosed that 11 out of the company's 245 buses are currently grounded, with the rest deployed across the country to provide services.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Ibrahim Ahmed has disclosed plans to expand the fleet of the Ayalolo bus services with the acquisition of electric buses. According to him, government has secured a €1 million grant from the Spanish government to support the purchase of the buses. However, he noted that the release of the funds is pending a letter of no objection from the Ministry of Finance, a requirement by the Spanish authorities.
My brothers and sisters, this problem has not just happened. We have been solving it as a government, but we have just come. The Ghana Private Road Transport Union has always been assisted by the NDC government with buses. But for the past 10 years, there has not been retooling in all of these unions, and that's why the problem is happening. Your Excellency, what I will need from you, when the new boss came in and realized the problem, he went to Spanish embassy. They wanted to give us a grant. All that they needed was for the Minister for Finance to give a letter of no objection. We followed, and I think with your presence, it will be given. If that one comes, the current ND of Ayalolo buses will get a grant of €1 million to be able to augment the fleet of...
Well, let's stay on this. My colleague Nana Yao Esari is at Circle currently and brings us updates on the current transportation crisis there. Good evening to you, Nana Yao. Now, what more can you report currently from Circle? What's the situation looking like?
Good evening, Natalie. So, as of currently, here at Circle, upon arrival here earlier, I went to some of the fuel stations, and I can say for a fact that even in the absence of vehicles, commuters were lined up in an orderly manner, so there was some sort of order. However, here under the Circle overhead, the situation is not the same. Here, it is actually very chaotic. As a matter of fact, the commuters are lined up on the main road, on the street. And I'm talking of commuters who are headed to Dome, Kwabena, Taifa, Pokwase, Amasamine, and Nsawam. These commuters are lined up on the road, and they are also using the survival of the fittest tactics in order to board the vehicle. And so this means that as the vehicles come, they all rush in order to get the vehicle. It is not as in an orderly form as it is in some of the stations. Now, this raises the concerns of security and also life-threatening issues, because as these cars are coming, the commuters need the buses when they are in motion. And some also jump into the main road, avoiding the oncoming cars that are from other lanes. And so and then hoodlums have also mixed themselves with the crowd, and then they are also stealing people's phones and then wallets and then so forth. Now, Natalie, the situation here is worrisome because when the buses come, the few that have come so far, they have overpriced the fare. Right. As an instance, the normal fare from Circle to Pokwase is 6 cedis. However, when the buses come, the conductors and the drivers price at from 10 cedis to 15 cedis. Some even go as high as 20 cedis. Now, for those who do not overprice, they load in bits. And so, for example, they load from Circle to Alajo, take the fare from Circle to Alajo, then load from Alajo to Old Station, take the fare for that, then load from Old Station to Barrier, take the fare for that, and then load from Barrier to Pokwase, take the fare for that, load from Pokwase to Amasama and take the fare, then finally to Insawam. That is the situation here. And it has some of the commuters stranded because for those who cannot afford high prices or the fares in bits, they are left to wait. And per my conversations with some of them, they say that from 8 to 9 p.m., that is when the tension dies down, and then now the normal prices begin to surface. And so, as I'm speaking here, there are a lot of people here rushing and then hoping to get very close to their homes.
Nana Yao Asari joining us there from Circle. Thank you for the updates. Clearly a concerning situation. We'll still stay on it and bring you more subsequently. The mayor of Kumasi, Richard Ofori Agyemang Boadi, has announced tougher measures to curb traffic indiscipline and alleged bribery involving some law enforcement officers operating within the Kumasi metropolitan area. Speaking during a media interaction, the mayor disclosed plans to increase the number of military personnel attached to the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly from 6 to about 12 as part of efforts to strengthen discipline and enforcement on the roads. He stressed that traffic enforcement must be firm and uncompromising, noting that persistent violations contribute significantly to congestion and erode public confidence in law enforcement.
Yesterday, the Metro Roads Engineer, the head of transport, the Assembly's convener for transport, and the coordinating director myself, we held a meeting with the regional commander for the MTTD. And we have told them what we expect of his officers this year. In fact, we indicated to him 3 areas where we don't want to see any loading or parking activity. And these areas are the stretch from the Costa Pharmacy to the runabout in front of the Children's Hospital. We indicated to him we don't want to see any loading or parking activity there. We also told him that we don't want to see any loading or parking activity around the MTN runabout at Imbom and then the frontage of the zoo. He has also shared his concerns with us. Those that we have to work on, we will work on, and then where we have to engage other people, other agencies to, will engage them. But this year, as much as possible, we would want to have the police behave in such a manner that does not even embarrass the police institution. What we have currently there is
So live here on News Tonight on GHOne TV. Do stay with us. We've got more news shortly. You're welcome back to News Tonight here on GHOne TV with me, Natalie Fort. In some more news this evening, the Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yohonu, has issued a strong warning to members of the public against attempting to bribe police officers, insisting that such acts will no longer buy freedom, but rather public disgrace. Speaking at a ceremony held in honor of the Ghana Police Service, where a special tribute song was presented by renowned gospel musician Grace Ashley, the IGP said the culture within the service is rapidly changing, with discipline, professionalism and hard work now driving motivation and career progression.
It was a moment of celebration, but also a message to criminals and the public alike. The police say they are reclaiming their pride, professionalism and public trust. According to the IGP, today's police officer is more motivated by career advancement than illegal inducements, warning the public that any attempt to offer a bribe will firmly be rejected and exposed.
Today, I assure you, you cannot bribe the policeman anymore. If you attempt to bribe the policeman, he will disgrace you. He wants promotion. We want to be one of the best police in the world, and we are carving that image for which generation upon generations will follow it, so that we will get our glories back and then we'll make everybody in Ghana proud.
He credited this shift to a leadership approach that rewards hard work, noting that officers who demonstrate courage and integrity are now promoted while alive, not honored only after death.
A small village in Ghana, a police lance corporal and his team, they intercepted a vehicle loaded with Indian hemp. They forced and brought the vehicle with the Indian hemp to the police station. And they forwarded the arrest that they have made to my wife. And once a while, you call my wife, and we are sure, say, I didn't know I drew IGP home. Today, we have promoted those police personnel.
The IGP praised regional commanders and personnel nationwide for what he described as gallant performance over the past year, contributing to relative calm across the country. He pointed to growing morale within the service, recounting cases where officers on hospital admission insisted on being discharged to join operations against armed criminals.
Madam, we are heavily touched with this honor you have given us, and we hope that being the first, among the first, to be honored at this time, we will not take it lightly at all. And then this thing has come at a time when our FIFA rating is going high.
The remarks were made during a ceremony where a celebrated musician icon, Grace Ashley, presented a special composed song in honor of the police service, an act the IGP described as a powerful symbol of public appreciation and encouragement.
Policing is not merely a profession, but a calling, one that demands vigilance, sacrifice, and courage. Behind every uniform is a human being standing watch so that the rest of us may live and sleep peace.
The IGP assured the public that this is only the beginning, stressing that integrity, sacrifice, and professionalism, not bribes, will define the future of policing in Ghana.
Private legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi says the extradition of Madam Tamaklo will be far easier than that of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. According to him, the difference lies in the legal status of the two cases. He explains that Madam Tamaklo has already been convicted by a Ghanaian court, while proceedings involving Ken Ofori-Atta are yet to reach trial stage. Justice Abdullahi stressed that extradition is usually simpler where a conviction has already been secured. He adds that Ghana stands a stronger chance of bringing Madam Tamaklo back to serve her sentence and is confident that the process could be completed within the next 2 to 3 months.
There's a huge difference between Madam Tamaklo and Ken Ofori-Atta. The two cases are markedly different to the extent that in one case there's a conviction secured, and in the other case there's a trial yet to be commenced. What that means is that the implications are different. The implications are that it is much easier for the people of Ghana to have Madam Tamaklo extradited to Ghana than it would ordinarily be to get Ken Ofori-Atta extradited to Ghana. And that's because first there's a trial has already taken place, conviction has been secured, and so it is easier, for the courts in the United States to simply go through the processes. Once the papers check out, within the next couple of weeks, maximum in 3 weeks, we should be having Madam Tamaklo in Ghana, because her processes would be faster, would be easier, subject, of course, to ordinarily events like administrative issues. She should be in Ghana.
You're watching News Tonight on GHOne TV. In some other top stories this evening, the United States has announced an indefinite suspension of certain legal immigration pathways, citing concerns about preventing public charge dependency. The move affects nationals from more than 75 countries, many of them in Africa. Countries including Ghana, Nigeria, and Ethiopia are among those impacted, raising questions about whether the policy is based on objective criteria or reflects deeper restrictions on legal immigration from the global south. For African families awaiting family reunification or permanent migration, the decision has created renewed uncertainty, even as tourist and business visas remain unaffected. Beyond individual cases, analysts warn of wider consequences, particularly as China, Europe, and Gulf states continue to actively court African talent and partnerships. So, what does this suspension really mean for Africa, and does it risk long-term damage? Harris, a U.S.-Africa special to this development. Good evening to you, Eden, and thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, as you know, the U.S. has mentioned that this suspension is specifically about preventing public charge dependency. However, it's indefinite. It affects 75 countries. From where you sit, how credible is this explanation, and just how much is this really about restricting legal immigration?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Natalie. And based on data from the Survey of Income and Program Participation, immigrants consumed only 21% of welfare and entitlement benefits than native-born Americans on a per capita basis in 2022. And that's because of the chilling effect, which dates back to the Immigration Act of 1882. That's 142 years ago. And it basically means that seeking assistance like food stamps, Medicare, can create a negative immigration process for people who are deemed a public charge or folks who are looking to adjust their status when trying to get a U.S. passport.
Right. Now, we've got a number of affected countries, right? It affects 75 countries, and many of these are in Africa. Ghana is one of them, Nigeria, Ethiopia. Does this policy objective criteria, does it sort of reflect or reinforce this long-standing bias that the U.S. immigration appears to have toward African migrants? And just how dire is that?
Yeah, so my reporting across multiple platforms on the Trump administration pulling back many visas, mainly from Black countries, gets the same reaction from my sources. They say that his policies stem from his anti-Black sentiment and, quote, not the law or the facts. In 2025, I visited 6 African countries, and when I had boots on the ground, I spoke to Africans, and they carry a sense of pride and community and often lean on their support system when they're in the U.S. when it comes to housing, when it comes to food. So the label of them being a public charge, it just doesn't make sense according to research and reporting.
Now, talking about the support system of Africans in the U.S., what does this really mean, this suspension? How does it affect Africans? How do you feel it does on a day-to-day in real terms? African families, Ghanaian families, how is it likely to affect on a day-to-day, especially those that are working towards family reunification? You mentioned that briefly. What's the impact of it in that aspect?
Yeah, so it pretty much delays and divides the global population from spending time with their family. And like my reporting basically says that when Africans are not allowed to come into the U.S., it affects how they are able to reunite with their family, their siblings on a long-term basis. And through like social listening, I've seen hundreds of African Americans advocating for Africans, saying current policies take away from the allure of the American dream. And right now it's looking like that doesn't exist anymore.
Now, the American dream. There are many Ghanaian and African individuals who travel to America for the purpose of achieving this, what is described as the American dream. However, beyond that, there are many impacts with regards to even the American economy that these immigrants tend to have a positive contribution on. How do you find that in economic terms it's likely to impact, and how troubling could that be?
Well, in economic terms, like if people coming to America want to start businesses, having restrictions or their visa suspended basically stops them in building something for people back home and also for the diaspora in the U.S. And in 2025, like after months of diplomatic engagement, the U.S. lifted their earlier visa restriction with Ghana and restored the 5-year multi-entry visa and moved Ghana described as a strength in bilateral ties. But what I'm hearing from the diplomatic community in Washington is basically that the visa suspension, it's confusing and it delays those professional futures, as I just mentioned, and all nations, including Ghana, who's also on the list.
Now, finally, Eden, does this policy, does it risk some damage with regards to U.S.-Africa relations, or do you foresee it just being somewhat short-lived, given that currently we don't know when it will end?
So, like, when it comes to international relationships, diplomatic leaders, they use the term or the phrase soft power. The U.S. has left out the word soft out of the term soft power. Soft power means a country's ability to attract and persuade others through culture, through its values, and rather than coerce. And that's what we've seen from the U.S., from the Trump administration. Unfortunately, these aren't American values. And to answer your question, is it short-lived? While I can't predict the future, I will say that through the Democratic National Committee, which focuses on elected officials in the U.S., they're currently planning a way to undo policies which are widely perceived as harmful to international relations. And that includes rebuilding trust with global partners like Ghana, Nigeria, and Rwanda, and more.
Well, Eden Harris, thank you so much for your time this evening and joining us on that issue. Eden there serves as U.S.-Africa Special Correspondent and political analyst for Connecting Africa News. It's still live here on GHOne TV. This is News Tonight. Residents of Teshi in Accra say frustration is mounting as they spend long hours in queues just to access potable water for household use. They complain that the water shortage has persisted for months with little to no intervention from authorities, leaving families struggling to meet basic daily needs. Khadija Idi has more in this report.
Water is essential to life, sustaining humans, animals, and nearly all living things. Yet in Teshi, a suburb of Accra in the Greater Accra region, access to this basic necessity has remained a persistent challenge for years. Residents say the situation has significantly deteriorated over the past 3 months. Since November 2025, complaints have intensified as many households bear the brunt of prolonged interruptions in water flow. With taps running dry, they are forced to travel to neighboring communities to buy a single jerrycan of water for about 5 Ghana cedis. In more desperate situations, some resort to purchasing sachet water for domestic use, an option they describe as costly and unsustainable.
It started last year till now. The water problem is really difficult for us here. It was just yesterday that we noticed that it was flowing. So we managed to get sometimes to even take your bath once to manage and store water for any other thing.
It gives panic attacks because you not know when your water will finish and when it will come. So you're always at the edge. You don't know how to wash your things. You always leave some. You can't completely do. We are not at liberty to do whatever we want to do with water.
when there is no water, or maybe the taps are not flowing, we take our jerry cans or our yellow gallons to go and get water maybe elsewhere. Places that maybe pipes are coming, we go there to get some water. It's not been easy, so sometimes we just have to balance ourselves and then see what we can do and then where to get water from.
Meanwhile, a man who turned the community's water shortage into water fetching business says the prolonged crisis is now affecting his livelihood. He explains that compassion for elderly clients who cannot pay often leaves him with little or no profit. He adds that he sometimes travels as far as Labadi and other communities to find water, making the work exhausting and unsustainable.
I do go to Labadi to go and fetch water. Now somebody will pay me, because if I fetch, they pay me. I'll take Motor King and go and fetch and come, and the person will pay me. Right now I'm fetching, if I finish, the person will give me money. Already affects me a lot because there's so many people, there are old people there, they are not able to go and fetch by themselves. They don't even have money to pay somebody to go and fetch for them. You understand? So if that kind of people, if you don't have sympathy for the person, you can't be able to do sacrifice for the person.
Residents also expressed concerns over the absence of their assembly members, saying the lack of engagement has left them feeling abandoned by their leaders.
I have not seen my assemblyman. I don't even know who my assemblyman is. I don't know my MP. We have not seen anybody around. I don't know if the problem is coming from the pipes, it's coming from mismanagement. We don't know. The government have to help.
I don't see any of them at all. And we are really pleading. We are pleading for the government to come to our aid at this point because we are really suffering.
Interestingly, while some households within the same vicinity have running taps, others are completely dry. Residents are therefore appealing to the government to urgently intervene and provide a lasting solution to the problem.
Well, let's stay on this issue. Joining us via phone is the Director of Public Relations and Communications of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Mate. Good evening to you, Stanley. First of all, can you clarify what exactly is the immediate cause of this shortage and broken infrastructure? Is it broken infrastructure? Is it low supply, poor management in the area? What's the reason that this is happening and it's been prolonged?
Okay, so thank you for having me. Okay. We in October 2025, we issued a statement that because of some impasse between the GWCL and then the operators of the plant, we're going to shut down, and then we're going to shut down the plant whilst we try to resolve them. Now, we are giving out two reasons. One was legal, the other was maintenance. So then, for instance, it's a private, it's a build, operate, own, and transfer arrangement between us, the Ghana Water Limited on one hand, and then a Spanish company by name Abengua on the other hand, and the plant is operated by Befisa. So that after 25 years, currently they own their plant, they're operating the plant, and then we pay capacity charges and some variable charges, so that at the end of the 25 years, the ownership is transferred to us. For us as a company, the average age of all our treatment plants is around 40 years, and it's an indication that we have maintained them. We follow our maintenance culture, standard operating procedures, and our expectation is that if the plant is handed over to us after 25 years, we need to also use the plant for over 25 years, so that at least we can get the benefits of the plant. Okay, so if it's not being maintained well, then it's a challenge. It's a challenge that we need to really work at, and that is what has brought the impasse. But thankfully, the government has intervened. Everything is going on very well. We are hopeful that by the end of January, or even before the end of January, the impasse should end, and they will put the plant back into operation. So these are the main reasons why the plant is off. One, legal issues. The other is maintenance. And we are doing everything possible to have them resolved so that we can put the plants into operation.
Right, Stanley Marty, and you say by end of month this should be resolved. Thank you for the updates this evening. Stanley Marty joining us there, Director of Public Relations and Communications of the Ghana Water Company Limited. You're watching News Tonight. We bring you business news next.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has cautioned against keeping losses incurred under the domestic gold purchase program on the balance sheet of the Bank of Ghana. Clarifying the IMF's position to EIB Network's Emmanuel Ejabing at a press briefing on Thursday, January 15, 2026, IMF Communications Director Julie Kozak stressed that by transferring the losses to the budget, the IMF believes the quasi-fiscal nature of the program would become more transparent, enabling clearer fiscal oversight and accountability while safeguarding the financial integrity and operational independence of the central bank.
On the benefit side, what we see is a contribution to a buildup of international reserves and reduced pressure on the foreign exchange market during a difficult period for Ghana. So those were the benefits. So quantified what we call a quasi-fiscal loss. Quasi-fiscal meaning because it's not on the fiscal balance sheet. But ultimately, it is a fiscal loss. And that loss was $214 million that the team quantified. The loss stemmed from trading activities, fees, exchange rate movements, and to help address this is to strengthen transparency, governance, and risk management, especially for the gold bod-linked channel under this domestic gold purchase program. We also strongly recommend that the losses should be brought on balance sheet rather than held on the balance sheet of the central bank. So on the budget, they should be brought on.
More business news. Oil marketing companies across the country this morning began reducing fuel prices in line with projections of a reduction in the second pricing window of January 2026. COMAC forecasted that between January 16 and January 31, petrol prices could fall by up to 2.30%, diesel by at least 1.97%, while liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, is expected to decline by between 3.10 and 5.09%. Market leader Star Oil is currently retailing petrol at 9.97 Ghana cedis per litre and diesel at 10.97 Ghana cedis per litre. Its CEO, Philip Teku, has, however, called for the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, to scrap price floor policy so fuel prices can fall further. Now we're joined by the Chief Executive Officer of COMAC, Dr. Riverson Opong, to have a discussion on this development. Good evening to you, Dr. Opong. Thank you for joining here on News Tonight. Now, as you know, commuters are rather excited, having received this news of price drops. What must be done to sustain this in the long term?
Right. Good evening to you and your listeners. Just as the forecast was announced yesterday, we are happy to see that the members' chamber are adhering to what the international prices are speaking to. Obviously, like Raleigh said, the numbers, two most important parameters in the determining of the price at the pumps are all indicating towards the positive side, with the crude oil product prices coming down at the international level, even though crude oil price went up a bit, and also with the CD being strengthened over the past 2 weeks to, a quantifiable margin, gaining more than 5% strength in the CD. It's something that's very remarkable. And obviously, since we are trading off on international prices or benchmark prices, we are seeing this I would say effects on the pumps level. But sustainability is a bit of a question that would take decades to answer in a crazy market, or in a market where it's fully deregulated. The floor price that you just mentioned is just a medium or a channel to prevent the oil marketing companies from undercutting in terms of the pricing, and also not pricing right. In terms of sustainability, two angles that the government can look at is to put in, I would say, a ceiling onto the taxes and levies that the government charges. Because today, if you pick the price build up, we have about 25% that goes onto the levies and taxes to the government, and barely 5% going into the oil marketing companies' revenue book, and that's not a profit per se. That's revenue that is used to pay for the overheads and all the operations that comes with the work that we do. So in a market that is first of all deregulated, and where we depend about more than 70% on imported products, thanks to toll coming up the line to produce diesel and petrol and even LPG into the market, that will reduce the forex interest for the market to pay for the imported products.
Very well.
But that being said, the sustainability aspect of the business will be government putting an eye onto the international benchmark prices, and therefore putting ceiling onto the taxes that are imposed onto the market.
Very well. Now, Dr. Opong, we had the former Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, describe as illegal reduction in fuel prices, specifically by GHOne and Star Oil at some selected outlets. Now, the two OMCs, as you are aware, announced the reduction today, but they limited it to some specific pumps. How do you respond to this claim made by him?
Right. The goal of the MPA, or even the government, let me put it that way, is to have a uniform pricing in the country. But let me also mention that when the floor price was set, I remember very well that it came up. OMCs were allowed to an extent of 2% to reduce or discount the prices at certain stations where where is volume driven. Okay, so your revenue is basically the amount of diesel or petrol commodity that you're selling by your margin that comes to you. So OMCs were allowed to sell the fuel at a discounted price at certain stations, but it was capped at 2% less.
Okay.
Following the review of the floor price, it came up that the 2% was not really realistic for some of them, so it was scrapped. Whether that's if it conforms to the national goal of achieving unified prices across the country, that's a question that we need to discuss with MPA and see whatever changes that the government would like to make.
Very well.
But scrapping the floor price, today will not be an ideal situation for the industry.
Very well. Well, thank you so much for your time and insights this evening. Dr. Riverson Opong, CEO of COMAC, joining us there. Still live here on News Tonight, we bring you the latest from the world of sports with Monica Bukari shortly.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Welcome to the Africa
Thank you for joining us here on Sports Brief. I am Monica Bukari. Now, as the Black Queens gear up for a crucial test in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations to be staged in Morocco from March 17 to April 3, head coach Kimlas Bjorkengren weighs in on Group D, where Ghana will face strong competition from Cameroon, Cape Verde and Mali. Kimlas Bjorkengren spoke exclusively to us here at EIB Sports.
Yeah, I have a big respect for Cameroon. When you're looking at the squad, they have so many players that are playing in really good league, in the French league, for example. So if you're looking at each player, it's a strong team with a lot of good players. Many of the players are playing in good leagues, like in the French. They have I don't know how many, but probably 7-8 players in the French league. So it's going to be a tough one, but I believe a lot in our group, and hopefully we can beat them. We are the strong team. We are the team that everybody wants to beat. Mm-hmm. So now it's up to us.
Now, from the women's WAFCON, let's head to the men's AFCON. And Nigeria and Egypt will clash in Casablanca on Saturday for the bronze medal game at the Africa Cup of Nations. Ahead of the game, my colleague Benjamin Yamwa has filed this report from Morocco.
So behind me is the Mohammed El Fayed Sports Complex in Casablanca here in Morocco, the venue for Saturday's third and fourth place action between Nigeria and the Pharaohs of Egypt in the AFCON games ongoing here in Morocco. Tell you what, ahead of the game this Saturday, Nigeria's coach Eric Shelle has been speaking and he's been praised on his team for the outing at this championship, even though clearly has stated he wasn't happy with the defeat against the Moroccans, but he knows for sure his team will rise to the occasion on Saturday to get a win for the team against the Pharaohs to win the third and fourth place game here in Casablanca.
The coach with his idea, with his philosophy, to give my best every time with my official. So I'm very proud and I want to say thank you to my players. But once again, it would be a big thank you if we win the third place. But my philosophy will be, I want to win this game, so I will put the best player for this game.
Still an important game for Nigeria on Saturday against the Pharaohs in a third and fourth place playoff game here in Casablanca. Now, captain for Nigeria, Wilfred Ndidi, has been speaking on the coach for the side, Eric Shelle. And in fact, Ndidi has called on the NFF, Federation back home in Nigeria, to maintain Eric Shelle, because according to him, in the 1 year he's been in charge, he has been a very impressive coach for the players, and he's calling on the NFF to maintain a coach for the foreseeable future for Nigeria.
And for the future, when we talk about the future, I would say this team I am very proud of. They do very well. They don't do great things in this competition, and it's been amazing. For continuity, I feel like they should keep the coach because he's a wonderful manager. I'll say it in front of everyone, hopefully. The only thing we need for this team is continuity. We will not try to change things now because we're not going to fight now. Now just then we focus. There's so many competitions ahead, so many games ahead. We could just focus on the team right now because this set of players I am proud of. For 1 year now, since the manager came, they don't bring the team together. Now the way we play is not about a one-man show. It's not about one person carrying the team. It's about the team. Even since when they come, players will don't go, players will come in. We have one philosophy, the team. Now the team is bigger than anybody, and that is its philosophy. And now the team don't set the standard way don't set for the team where if any player comes in, any new player comes in, he knows he has to adapt to the team standards. So kudos to him. He's really done a massive job for us as a nation.
Captain Ndidi further spoke about striker Victor Osimhen, who he believes is a very important player for the Super Eagles team. Hence, the players all wanting to play for him in the team.
Like Osimhen in front of you, of course. They carry the team now. So what do you expect? He's a great player. If he not the pitch, we will miss him now. So that one is normal, you know. But since the coach come, that's why I tell you don't make him a team sport. Like it don't make him feel like everybody needs to be in that standard. You see the way we see they play. Everybody needs to like follow up, you know. So it's not about saying maybe Osimhen play or Osimhen no play. Osimhen is a wonderful striker, you know. If you did your team, it's amazing. It's like a 3 striker in one. So as I said, the coach don't make him a team thing. So I think you should just watch out for this team in a couple of years. So I think we have to talk with that.
So Nigeria take on the Pharaohs of Egypt tomorrow in the Nations Cup, third and fourth place game. And for the Nigerian team, they are primed to ensure they get the results they need. That is winning a third place at this year's AFCON ongoing in Morocco. So for GHOne TV on the wings of Natalie Travels, we are live in Casablanca at the Mohammed El Fayed Stadium. Tomorrow's game is on. Who gets to win it? Will it be Egypt or will it be Nigeria gets to win the third and fourth place game at the Nations Cup? for GH1 TV, Star FM, and EIB Sports, Benjamin Yamwa.
And that's all for sports. My name is Monica Bukari. But then we look forward to Nigeria. I know a lot of people are not supporting Nigerians, the Ghanaians.
It appears so, Monica, to my surprise, as West Africans, I think we... No, I mean, I was
There's
really
always a jollof derby.
It's true. We can't...
No,
we
the
can't
other does not want
that.
the other person or country to go ahead of them. So...
Absolutely.
That's the reason. But I'm rooting for Nigeria
Likewise,
anyway.
I think they've been playing really well.
They are. Lokman, Ademola, and then Osimhen.
Yeah.
They have it. And then they have the goalkeeper as well.
They do.
Umabali.
We'll see what happens
Let's see
tomorrow.
what happens tomorrow. Nigeria against Egypt.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Monica, for the sports news there. More sports news available on our website. Next, we bring you international news. Were killed overnight in clashes between security forces and opposition groups in Uganda. According to reports, the violence broke out in Butambala, about 55 kilometers southwest of Kampala, as President Yoweri Museveni took a strong lead in the presidential election results. The opposition has alleged massive fraud and widespread repression and intimidation during the election, which was held under an internet blackout. Thank you so much for watching News Tonight this evening here on GH1 TV. From our bulletin and from our studios here at Platinum Place, visit our website, starfm.com.gh, for lots more news. It was produced by Emmanuel Ejabing, directed by Emmanuel Soa. I'm Natalie Fort. Have a wonderful evening.